morning, everybody. Oh, please pardon my being in a weird position again. We have been doing tomatoes again today, and also, every day since I last saw you, and so I am in recovery position again. I have my feet up and everything, and the laptop is sitting on my lap, which is not normally where I have it. So sorry if it's kind of like unstable. Also, Whimsy is sitting here next to me, and he keeps looking like he's planning on going across this way, so if there's like a leap or any sort of like transversing, I apologize for that in advance. So yes, I'm gonna try to make a video. We'll see how that goes. I'm trying to get it at a good position. Whimsy, buddy, can you stop? Please don't hit it. It makes it very difficult. Okay, so I'm gonna try to be as coherent as I can be. I don't know for sure how it's gonna go, but we'll try. Yeah, so Phoebe, you were talking about the sunscreen situation. Whimsy, can you please not shove on it while I'm trying to talk? Yeah, the sunscreen that I was talking about that is potentially something I could wear, like that is commercial sunscreen. I haven't really priced it. I don't think it's like super expensive, but like I already had a large batch made up of the other stuff, so I haven't looked for it. But the thing is, if I try getting that stuff, then I have to go through the trial process of trialing it out. Thank you, sir, for your help. Sorry. I have to go through the process of trialing it to see if I'm going to react to it, and it's like this whole big process, and I have to be willing to potentially be sick for a period of time in case I do react to it. And so trialing things is just kind of best avoided if possible. And I have the ingredients to keep making this stuff, and it's not super arduous to make. Mostly it's just a question of putting everything together and then melting everything together, because it has a little bit of beeswax in it and oil, so you have to melt the beeswax into the oil. But basically it's just kind of putting everything together and stirring it up. That's the most arduous part. So it's not really difficult to make once you've got the recipe the way you need it. And I don't know how expensive the other stuff is. I don't think it's super expensive, in comparison to other sunscreens, but since I already have everything to make this, and I already have some made up, although I do need to make more, I haven't actually gone to price it or trial it or anything yet. Yes, it was carrot seed oil. And the thing about the carrot seed oil is, I looked this up because when I started looking at all of these all of these sunscreen recipes, there were a ton of them that were claiming that carrot seed oil had X massive number of SPF, and I was like, see, that doesn't sound right to me. That sounds weird. And so I started Googling things to see if I could figure out where this came from, or if it was a thing. And basically what it came down to is it came from one very poorly designed study that was done by I think a sunscreen company. I don't remember now. It's been several years since I looked this up. But anyway, whatever it was not even okay, let me see if I can remember how this worked so that I can explain it in a reasonably coherent fashion. What it was is they had tested a bunch of different sunscreens, and this one sunscreen happened to have carrot seed oil in it, presumably as a skin thing, because it's good for your skin, apparently. So they did not test the carrot seed oil, they tested sunscreen. And somehow they then attributed the SPF number to the carrot seed oil. And so, like, it doesn't make any sense at all. It has nothing to do with the carrot seed oil. It was a product that had SPF of its own that just happened to contain carrot seed oil. So that's where that came from, and that is why it is completely not a real thing. But you will see it parroted all over the wellness web, and it is very bad. So I have cat hair on my face. I'm sorry, I keep wiping my face off. Yes, so Whimsy has left the door open. Hang on. Oh no, moving is so bad. Oh. Door is shut. Okay. Oh, look at me sitting upright like a person. Oh no, come back. Okay. So I'll just leave it on the table for the moment. So what else have I got here? Oh, you were talking about reading like an old person, how like you had to like adjust. I am also nearsighted, but in the last like couple of years I've discovered that I also need reading glasses, because like once I hit 40, once I hit like 39, all of a sudden my eyes were like, you need reading glasses now. So now I cannot see super close up, and I also can't see far away. It's super. I'm gonna have to like get a pair of reading glasses. I don't have reading glasses. I used to a long time ago have reading glasses, but I didn't need reading glasses. What I needed them for is because I was nearsighted and I used to wear contacts, my eye doctor had told me that if I had my contacts in and I was reading something like when I went to college, where you can't take your contacts out in the middle of the day, he suggested that I should wear the reading glasses if I had my contacts in, and the reading glasses would like cancel out my contacts essentially. So I used to have all these reading glasses, and now I don't have them anymore, now that I actually need them. Always the way it works. You were asking about the tomatoes. To be clear, we did not grow the tomatoes. We bought the tomatoes from like a produce stand. There's like a produce stand south of us, not near, like, I don't know, probably like 45 minutes south of us ish. And once a year we go there and buy a massive quantity of tomatoes, because we couldn't grow the amount of tomatoes that we need for like a year's worth of tomato supply. Here we don't have that much room, and also because all of us are disabled now, we can't really do any gardening anyway, so like we don't have any tomato plants at this point. But yes, we have many boxes of tomatoes, and we just did the last box. I'm done. I'm so pleased to be done. I'm so tired, and my elbows are like completely ready to fall off of my arms, because we have this system now. Instead of canning the tomatoes, or like we used to like run them through the steamer, and that worked okay. We tried like sort of boiling them down and making like sauce. We tried a bunch of different things. What we do now has worked much better. It's a lot of work, but it is in the long run less work than doing it any of the other previous ways that we were doing it, and it produces more product from from a single box of tomatoes. We get more finished product than we used to, and also a higher quality product. But it's like a 3-part process. Like the first part is like chopping the tomatoes into chunks and running them through the food processor, not pureeing them entirely, but just breaking them down enough that you can run them through the food mill, which is the second part. And then you run them through the food mill, and that takes out all of the like seeds and stuff and breaks them down into kind of a sort of a puree kind of. But it takes out all the seeds. It takes out all the like weird little bits of like skin, peel. I don't know what you would call that. And it breaks them down into like a sort of homogeneous stuff. And then once you have that done, then you have to package it and deal with that. And it takes a while to do all of those things. The food mill is a manual food mill. We don't have like an electric food mill. I assume they make electric food mills. We don't have one. We have a manual one, which means you have to crank. I am the person who is in charge of the food mill. My mom generally does the food processor part, and I do all of the food milling, and so I have been cranking for a week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that. I'm no longer sure. Week and a half, I think, ish. And so, yeah, my arms are like, my joints are just like, what is happening? Please stop doing this thing. We do not like this new activity. But yeah, we're done now. Yay. That's excellent. We appreciate being done. We got it done comparatively quickly, this time, which is good, but also means we did not like get a lot of resting time in between. And also there was a lot of other stuff going on, so we were doing a lot of things at the same time. So yeah, it was labor intensive, but glad to be done. Now we might need some recovery time, but at least it's over. Hopefully. I'm concerned that I've jinxed myself in some way. Oh, you said the thing about me saying that I had gotten younger as I gotten older. That actually was not mine originally. It was something my mom used to say about me when I was little. And it is, I think, true. I mean, not to say that I was not immature, or I'm not still immature, but I was just always very elderly as a child. I was extremely serious and extremely like, I've loosened up a lot as I've gotten older. I was very tense and very like rigid in a lot of ways, and I have loosened up and gotten sort of younger. It's just not to say that I'm not still tense, but better. The thing about people saying that you can't learn from fiction, I've had more than one person say that to me. I have had this conversation on multiple occasions, and yeah, it's just incorrect. Not only the stuff that you were talking about, like, all of the stuff that you were talking about, and also like I remember reading someone else say once that like you learn about things from nonfiction, but you learn about people from fiction, which I think is, a valid way to express it. But also, like, I think you can also learn about things from fiction, depending on what the fiction is that you're reading. Like, I remember once reading someone make the point that, like, for instance, just like as an example, like Jane Austen's books are so meticulous in their detail, and they are so accurate to her time period that people use them like to learn things about the time period and like the society that she lived in, because they are very accurate. She was not making anything up, and she was recording things extremely accurately. That is, there are lots of things where, like, something might be mentioned in a novel that you're reading, and then you think, wow, that's really interesting, and so you start learning things about it from whatever the thing is that you're reading, and then you go on to learn more about it later on because you thought it was interesting and you picked it up from this book that you were reading. It's just weird to me, the idea that you can't learn from fiction. I feel like that is the kind of thing you can only say if you have never really read fiction, because it's so obviously wrong if you have read fiction. I think that's the kind of thing that people say when they have just dismissed fiction immediately and have never really bothered to read fiction. And I think sometimes that's about people just like feeling contemptuous of fiction, or like sort of looking down on it and just not wanting to read it because they feel like somehow it's not serious enough, or like people are gonna like look down on them because they're gonna like judge them in some way for reading fiction. And I think that's so strange. It's such a weird approach. I just don't get it. But I was thinking about this the other day, and this is a little bit off topic, but this is something that occurred to me a while back, and I was thinking about it again the other day. People were talking somewhere that I was on the internet. People have been talking about like how like writing is in some places, in some groups, considered like a thing that men do, like women's writing is not important or whatever. And I was thinking about how weird it is, because when I was in school, where I was in school, in the time and place and society that I was in school, when I was a kid, I remember very specifically that reading was very much like a thing the girls did and not a thing the boys did. The boys did not read. And I can remember there being like a lot of stuff like in the school library trying to like sort of like entice the boys to pick up a book, because they just didn't, and they were not really expected to. And I don't know if that's like a broader thing, because I see so much stuff about like boys reading particular kinds of books. Like I always see like conversations about how like we expect girls to just be able to relate to all kinds of characters, but boys are only expected to relate to boys. And I'm like, that's true, yes, but also like when I was a kid, the boys weren't expected to even relate to boys in books. Like, they were not expected to pick up books really at all. Like, they just didn't. It was not a thing that the boys did. And they also didn't write stories, really, unless they were required to for a class. But, like, I don't know if that's, like, a thing, or if it just happened to be, like, where I was. Whatever. What else? You were talking about not being able to remember details of like books and things. Like, I also cannot remember the details of things, even if I love them. Like, I just am not good. I can remember them if someone else reminds me of them. Like, if somebody is talking about a movie or a book or something, and they're like, remember this thing, I'm like, oh right, I remember that. And I will, like, as long as we are talking about it in a way that is reminding me of what's happening, like, I can absolutely bring up all kinds of like details of things, assuming that it is something that I am pretty familiar with. If it's something I read 15 years ago one time, I'm probably not going to remember most of the details of it, even if they remind me. But like, if it's something that I'm tolerably familiar with, then I can bring up all this stuff in my head, as long as as long as there's something to kind of like initiate that. But man, if somebody just asks me like, what is such and such a book about, even if I read it a bunch of times, I'm gonna be like, I don't know. I mean, I can probably tell you like kind of the very broadest overall plot, but like I won't remember any of the details of it. And then like, hours or days or weeks later, I'll be like, oh, I should have said about this thing. Like, they would have really been interested in like this particular subplot, or oh, I should have talked about this character, because that would have been it's not there. It's not available to recall in that way. It's very difficult. Details are hard. I can remember once trying to explain this to someone and saying, like, I had watched a movie and I was like, I remember details from it. It's really weird. And I was like trying to tell them about this strange experience that I had had of watching a movie and then being able to remember details about the plot afterwards. And they just thought I was really weird. They could not figure out what I was talking about at all. And I was like, maybe other people don't experience things in that same way. This is a really long video. This is like 20 minutes long, over 20 minutes long. I should probably stop talking. Also, I need to flop back on the bed again. So I guess I'm done. That's all my notes. I hope I got everything in there. So, yeah. I love everybody. I will see you next week. Don't forget to be awesome.